Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I quickly want to make this video. Why I'm making this video is because there was a video I brought here yesterday, and where Pastor John Anosike, was telling us the kind of persons we should talk about. The kind of a pastor that if he does a certain thing, that is the kind of a pastor. Those are the kind of pastors that anybody can expose. So people were asking questions. Does that mean that is the only pastor that if he does something like that we should talk about it? Well, yes. It means that you have not watched the video before. In that video, in case you have not watched it, where a pastor was said to have forcefully slept with a 15-year-old child and threatened her that if she ever told her parents or anybody, she would die of cancer or something like that, and then she would begin to lose people in her family. And then she was 15 when that happened, and so I guess that was a year ago. And this time around, however it came to the fore, her father is crying for justice. So if you have not watched the video, please check it in this channel. We have it, in this channel. So now I want you to see this video. This one is a continuation, the same message, So I'm going to show you now what he said about either himself or any pastor that genuinely fell into the sin of sexual immorality. Now listen, we know that somebody can fall into such sin. We know that somebody can be tempted, and people have been tempted. It's not far-fetched. As you are listening to me now, you may know one or two persons that even though they may not be pastors, but they have been sincerely they fell, not because that is their lifestyle, but because they were weakened, and so they found themselves by the wayside. Please give that person a helping hand. Don't condemn the person. Help the person to rise. Help the person to stand again. That is why we are brethren. Number two, we see, that there are certain individuals that is their lifestyle, and there are some pastors that also has been their form of life. Now, I believe that there are categories of pastors who are involved in this. One such of pastors are those that the devil is actually trying to ruin their lives, and so that is the spirit that has overtaken them, and they also are swimming in it, not even knowing how to help themselves. That is one. Two is that there are set of individuals, people who live in sexual immorality. It is not immorality to them, but we will put that because it is immoral. Now, they do it for certain reasons. One of such is to acquire spiritual power, and some do it in order to conquer women. Somebody told me that while he was young, he kept a register of women that he slept with, and he wanted to make sure that he slept with all kinds of women with their alphabets. So he said he fulfilled what he wanted, but only that he could not get letter X. Now, for instance, if he slept with Angela, he will write Angela, that is letter A. Then he will go for Blessing, that is letter B, and will go for Callista, letter C. Just like that. When he gets to Doris, so he was carefully picking them, but he could not get letter X. Had it been he traveled to China, he probably would have gotten one. Now, but Pastor John Anosike is saying that if anybody should get him involved in sexual immorality, that person should not expose him. That the person, in fact, nobody in his congregation has the right to talk about it except for his spiritual father, who would call him and take him away from the pulpit. Somehow, fine and good, and that does not mean that I'm saying that John Anosike is living in sexual immorality. But in this video, the same message where he told us the kind of a pastor that must be exposed. Now, he is telling us also, right in the same message, that there was a certain woman who was brought by her husband, who is a pastor, and traveled, and this woman stayed in the church and started to live immorally with a member of his own choir, a member or a person in his choir. And so he got to know about it. He said he caught it. So maybe the Holy Spirit revealed that to him, and so he stopped it. Now, somehow the family stopped coming to church. So Anosike said he was going to expose that woman to her husband, not for any other reason, but because the woman probably would have told the husband something else that made them to leave the church. So I'm going to play that video for you. But before that, listen again, in case if you have not watched this one, the kind of persons that you must not expose, the kind of pastors that Anosike will support with all of his heart. Please pay attention here.
You are welcome to the End Time Truth Television, the channel for the lovers of truth, for the truth of the end time. So if you are a lover of truth, give us a subscription and God bless you. Shalom.
It is not in any man's right to go about exposing men of God's weaknesses. A pastor or Pastor John is molesting a girl or a sister in church. Please don't go out to expose me. It's wrong. You know why? The first thing you're going to count will be, what will he lose if I expose him? You must count the cost. I'm talking about genuine mistake of a man of God, not wickedness. You began to fornicate with a pastor and you start making money from him, and then the pastor changes his ways and stopped fornicating with you. That means the flow of money has stopped. Suddenly, he is sleeping with me. So you are trying to expose him, but you didn't expose him the first day you had sex with him, because the money was coming in. So are you exposing him for righteousness? Are you exposing him because you cared from the beginning? Because from the beginning you never cared. Money was coming in and then you protected him. But when money stopped coming in, you exposed him. Doesn't that look like a serpent and a snake? Now, I do not condone, if you're going to cut what I just said now, put this one. I do not condone sexual immorality of any pastor. I'm willing to find out what the motive of the woman is. I will protect any pastor. I don't care what weakness he has. If they took advantage of his weakness to expose him, I'll protect him like Christ will. It is not in any man's right to go about exposing men of God's weaknesses. What ways should we go, or how do we handle sexual offenses of pastors? We said it the way Jesus said it. Go and sin no more. Woman, they accused you of adultery not because they cared, but because that was a setup against me. Jesus knew the intention. The intention was not adultery against a woman, but they wanted to see what they could use against Jesus. What would Jesus say? When Jesus realized that the whole scenario was not against the woman, it was against him, Jesus, he dealt with it wisely. But finally he told the woman, go and sin no more. Can't you tell that adulterers, stop the adultery, go and sin no more? Jesus would tell that liar, go and lie no more. Jesus would tell that fornicator, I forgive you, but go and fornicate no more. He would tell that false prophet, I forgive you, but go and prophesy no more false prophecies. But our approach to anything must be biblical. We must not be driven by our animal sentiments. Who is a wicked pastor? A wicked pastor, if any pastor is found having sex with an underaged girl in church, must be handed over to the police, not even exposed. That man is not a pastor. That man should never mount the pulpit. I'll say it again. Hold this. If any pastor is found sleeping with underaged girl in church, whether male or female, are you hearing me? Such a pastor should be exposed, must come publicly and confess, and must face the law, because that is rape, that is wickedness in the highest order, and every blogger must carry it. He must be removed from the pulpit.
Now, so coming from that one, I will immediately take you to that, so that you now compare and contrast what he is saying. He said pastors must not be exposed, but he himself now was going to expose a woman who got involved in sexual immorality. He wouldn't have done that had he been the family continued to come to church. But now that they have stopped coming to church, he doesn't know what the woman must have told the man. Now let's just watch. Listen.
These fools don't know scriptures. Me, I will hold them word by word. I'm not that type that will be quiet. And I'm going to talk to that pastor. I think that pastor is from somewhere. I'm not sure if he's from Malawi or Zambia or somewhere in this southern Africa. She came here early, I think 2013. 14, 15, she came to do her PhD. Yeah, master's and PhD. She is married to a pastor. One, they came here, both of them came, and I know I'm going to locate that guy because I'm very upset. Something in me is very, very angry. He's a pastor. They love the ministry. He brought the wife. They introduced the wife to me and told me that this is what they are planning and that the wife will be in our church throughout the duration of her studies. And she even was in the worship team. You know me now? There was a he-goat in that worship team carefully seducing a married woman, and that woman is married to a pastor. Lured her into his house, tried to molest her the first and the third time, invited her again, nearly slept with. They were all doing all kinds of things. The Spirit of God revealed it. Before she was about to go for the final one, the Lord revealed it. He nearly slept with her. I called her in. She broke down and started to confess. That young man in the worship team, I kicked him out. Some of you don't even know why. There was one. I protected the woman, secured her from being raped by that singer. I didn't tell the husband. I sat her down and I spoke to her. She cried and repented. They went to the extent of kissing and romancing, but there was no sex because I stopped it before that happened. You know, when she traveled, I don't know whatever happened, both of them stopped. And the man didn't even know that I saved her marriage. I saved his marriage. I think I need to tell him, call him to order, say, do you know what your wife was doing? Even a piece of thank you, because that pastor did not know. Perhaps the wife has lied to him so that they will cut off from the ministry. So there is no any chances of the husband hearing what happened. Such people must be what? Exposed. If you are in this church, your kid, your child, or whatever is safe. If I find anything, I will expose it and I'll make sure that your kid is safe and protected. Is somebody hearing me now? I will. I'll make sure. I'll make sure that the wives, the single girls here are preserved.
I don't have so much to say here, but then from the same mouth, these two or even three are coming, out. Then, since he is very angry against people he called bloggers and the pastors who also speak out against these things, he's so angry against them for revealing these things. But he himself also would stoop so low to expose the woman, not because he was concerned for the lives of the couple, but because the woman and her husband have stopped attending his church. I don't know if he has tried to find out from the man, bro, what happened? We stopped seeing you. And let the man at least open up to him and tell him what the wife told him. Has he tried to reach out to the woman to even find out if they are still alive, right? But he wants to get back at the woman because he thinks the woman may have told the husband something, and that was why they left the church. And as a pastor, the woman's husband, who is a pastor, probably may also be paying his 10% in Anosike's church. And now that he is no longer coming, that becomes a minus. Now, I don't know why he would be so concerned if he never intended to expose the woman in the first place. If they had continued fellowshipping in his church, I don't know why would he do it now to settle scores. Personal vendetta thing. Now, that is where we also should be asking questions. Now, what are the motivations behind several actions that people take? All right. Now, those of you that have bombarded me with phone calls and with threats about John Anosike, this question is for you. Is he right if he ever called the husband of the woman to expose the woman just because the man and the wife stopped coming to the church? Is he right? Is that the righteous way to handle such matter? Now, he that said people should not expose pastors, is it only, people like the woman maybe that has offended him that should be exposed? Shouldn't we borrow a leaf from him and also begin to expose pastors as well? Like he doesn't want us to expose them, but he can expose a former member. He can expose persons in his church. Did you hear how he described the choir leader? Yeah, we know that some people can be like that, so fine and good. But and anyhow you put it, exposure is exposure. The people he was speaking to know who the choir person that he was referring to happened to be. So he has exposed him. He has exposed him. Of course, if he is afraid that pastors will lose something. There is nobody that gets into any kind of, secret deals that is not supposed to be known by the public that will not lose anything. That person, at least the person loses his dignity. The person loses her dignity. Is he not thinking of what will happen to the marriage of the pastor and his wife if he does this? And to be sincere with you, he has already said it. He has already exposed the woman, because the husband of the woman may have seen this video and vividly describing the person that he was talking about. The husband would have known, oh, this looks like my wife that this man is describing. What happened? So, should the marriage of these people break because the wife, according to him, took her husband away from the church? Isn't that selfishness? Isn't that wickedness? Now, for those of us that we want to talk about restitution, that is not how to do restitution. And I don't even want to call that in restitution, because in restitution you restore something. So the proper language should be confession, not restitution. Restitution is that you stole something from somebody and the Spirit of God touched you because you have now found the light. You came back to the person and you restore. Zacchaeus did it in the Bible. All right, so that is restitution. But this one is confession. If he had wanted the man to know, and in righteous way, if it is that necessary, is this how to go about it? He has already exposed the woman. He has already told the husband, even though he has not called the man on phone. Already this thing he said is enough. He has already done enough damage to that marriage. Why? Because he is uncomfortable that this woman may have taken her husband away from the church. Be the judge. Let's know what you think about this. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, from me to you. Shalom.